The basement smelled like old wood and machine oil. Late afternoon light came through the small window above my workbench, cutting a clean angle across the concrete floor. I was running my hand over the finished surface of a walnut jewelry box when I heard her voice from the top of the stairs. "You're still down there wasting time with your little toys?" I didn't turn around. My fingers stayed on the wood grain. "A collector's coming by tomorrow," I said. "He saw photos online." "Right, because someone's going to pay real money for your hobby junk." Her laugh was sharp. "Maybe focus on something that actually matters, David, like our bank account." I set the box down. My chest didn't tighten. My hands didn't shake. Something else happened. Something went still inside me, like a door closing softly in an empty house. She had no idea what she'd set in motion. My name is David Mitchell. I'm 52 years old. For 23 years, I worked as a logistics coordinator for a regional distribution company. Steady work, good benefits, nothing glamorous. My wife Jennifer and I had been married for 19 years. On the surface, we looked stable. Two-story house in a decent neighborhood, no major fights, dinner on the table most nights. But surfaces lie. It started small. The way she'd talk over me at dinner parties when I'd start to say something about work. The way she'd roll her eyes when I suggested we try a new restaurant. The way she'd say, "We can't afford that," when I wanted something, then come home with another decorative pillow for the couch we didn't need. Every Saturday morning, I'd take my coffee downstairs to the basement. That's where I kept my woodworking tools. Bandsaw, router table, hand planes I'd restored myself. I'd started building small furniture pieces 5 years earlier. Jewelry boxes, side tables, picture frames with hand-cut joinery. The kind of work that required precision, patience, the same qualities that made me good at my job and invisible in my marriage. Jennifer called it my garage sale hobby. She'd tell her friends I was playing carpenter while she handled the real responsibilities. I'd hear her on the phone. "Oh, David's in the basement making his little trinkets again." I let it go. I let a lot go. The workshop was the one place where my hands knew exactly what to do, where measurements mattered, where a quarter-inch gap was a quarter-inch gap, not close enough or does it really matter? Wood didn't lie to you. It didn't diminish you. It just was what it was. 3 months before that Saturday afternoon, something shifted. We were at her sister's birthday dinner, 12 people around a long table. Someone asked what I'd been up to. "David's been busy in his little workshop," Jennifer said, cutting her salmon. She didn't look at me. "Building birdhouses or whatever. It's cute, keeps him occupied." Her sister laughed. "Every man needs a hobby, right?" "As long as it doesn't cost real money," Jennifer said. "I handle our finances. Someone has to be the adult." The table went quiet for just a second. Then someone changed the subject to vacation plans. I finished my meal. I didn't correct her. I didn't explain that I'd sold 3 pieces that month through an online craft marketplace, that I'd made $800, that I'd quietly opened a separate savings account 2 years earlier where I deposited everything I earned from woodworking. I should have spoken up. I should have said something, but I didn't. 4 weeks after that dinner, I posted photos of my latest project online. A sideboard made from reclaimed barnwood, dovetail joints, hand-rubbed tung oil finish. I'd spent 6 months on it. The photos were good, sharp lighting, multiple angles showing the joinery. Within 2 days, I had a message from someone named Gerald Portman. He owned a gallery in the city that specialized in handcrafted furniture. He wanted to come see my work. He mentioned numbers that made my throat go dry. I told Jennifer about it that evening. She was scrolling through her phone at the kitchen table. "That's nice, honey," she said, not looking up. "Don't get your hopes up, though. Online people say a lot of things." "He's a gallery owner. He has a business address, a website." "Uh-huh." She set her phone down. "Look, I'm glad you have something to do on weekends, but we have real bills, real expenses. I need you to be realistic about what matters here." "This could matter," I said. She smiled. Not a warm smile, a patient one. The kind you'd give a child who insisted they could fly. "Sure, David. if it makes you happy to believe that. My hands were flat on the table. I could feel the wood grain under my palms. Laminate, not real wood. We'd bought it on sale 7 years ago. She'd picked it out. "He's coming Saturday at 2, I said. "I'll be at Pilates," she said. "Try not to make a mess when he leaves." Saturday morning I woke at 6. Jennifer was still asleep. I went to the basement and spent 3 hours cleaning. Not frantically, methodically. I swept sawdust, wiped down surfaces, arranged my finished pieces on the workbench and against the wall. 11 items total, some small, some substantial. At 1:30 I made coffee. My hands were steady as I measured the grounds. At 2:04 the doorbell rang. Gerald Portman was 60-something. Silver hair, expensive casual clothes. He had the look of someone who knew value when he saw it. He shook my hand firmly and followed me downstairs without small talk. For 40 minutes he examined every piece. He ran his fingers along joints, opened drawers, tested hinges. He pulled out a jeweler's loupe and studied corner details. He didn't say much, just, and interesting, and once quietly, "Oh, that's lovely." Finally, he straightened up from examining the sideboard. "You have remarkable restraint," he said. "Most woodworkers overbuild. Too much decoration. You know when to stop." "Thank you," I said. "The sideboard, what were you planning to do with it?" "I wasn't sure, maybe list it online." He named a figure, $4,000. My coffee had gone cold in my hand. "And I'd like to discuss representation," he continued. "Exclusive arrangement. I have clients who would appreciate this level of craft. We could start with a showing, see how the market responds." I heard Jennifer's car pull into the driveway upstairs. Her Pilates class must have ended early. "Could you give me your card?" I asked. "I need to think about this." "Of course." He handed me a business card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. "But David, don't think too long. Work like this doesn't stay hidden." Jennifer's footsteps crossed the floor above us. I heard her putting her gym bag down. "I'll call you Monday," I said. We shook hands. He left. I stood in my basement workshop with his card in my hand and the smell of wood oil in my nose. Jennifer came down 5 minutes later. "So, did your collector show up?" "He did." "And?" She was smiling, waiting for me to admit she'd been right. "He made an offer on the sideboard." "How much?" I told her. Her smile didn't change, but something behind her eyes did. "You're joking." "He wants to represent my work, exclusive gallery contract." She laughed. But it sounded different now, thinner. David, that's wonderful. I mean, that's real money. Why didn't you tell me this was serious?" "I did tell you." "No, I mean really tell me. Make me understand that this was more than just..." She stopped. "Well, this changes things. We could use that 4,000 for the kitchen renovation. And if there's more coming..." That was the moment something inside me went quiet. Not angry, not hurt, just quiet. "I'll think about it," I said. Over the next week, I didn't call Gerald. I didn't tell Jennifer what I was thinking. Instead, I did something I should have done years earlier. I went through our finances, every account, every statement, every credit card. I sat at the desk in our spare bedroom with the door closed and opened spreadsheets. It took me 4 hours. When I finished, my jaw was tight and my vision felt very clear. In 19 years of marriage, Jennifer had opened 7 credit cards in my name. She'd never asked. She'd just done it. Total balance, $43,000. Things I'd never seen. Furniture I'd never noticed. Spa days. Shopping trips with her sister. Every time I'd asked about our savings, she'd said we were doing fine and it's handled. It wasn't handled. We had $1,600 in our joint account. I had $11,000 in my woodworking account. She didn't know about that one. I took my phone out. I didn't call her. I called an attorney. A friend from college who specialized in family law. We'd stayed in touch over the years. Christmas cards, occasional emails. "Tom," I said when he picked up, "I need some advice." Monday evening, I sat Jennifer down at the kitchen table. "We need to talk about money," I said. She looked annoyed. I told you it's fine. After you sell that sideboard. I went through the accounts. Her face changed. The credit cards, I said. All 7 of them. Silence. I didn't know there were. David, look, things got tight sometimes. I was managing it. Without telling me. Because you don't pay attention to this stuff. You never have. Someone had to make decisions. I slid a folder across the table. Printouts, statements, a spreadsheet I'd made showing every charge over $1,500. I'm paying attention now, I said. She opened the folder, flipped through 3 pages, closed it. So what, you're going to lecture me about spending? After I've supported your career all these years? Managed our household while you clocked in and out of your boring job? My boring job paid our mortgage. Our mortgage that I had to stretch to afford because you refused to ask for a promotion. I didn't refuse. I just didn't get it. Because you don't speak up, David. You never speak up. About anything. You just float through life building your little boxes and letting me handle everything that matters. My hands were flat on the table again. You're right, I said. I didn't speak up. That was my mistake. She blinked. What? But I'm speaking now. And here's what's going to happen. Over the next 3 weeks, several things occurred in sequence. I called Gerald Portman. I accepted his offer on the sideboard. I signed the gallery contract. $4,000 went into my separate account. I met with Tom twice. We discussed options, numbers, timelines. I opened a new bank account. I had my paycheck redirected there. I changed the passwords on every shared account we had. Jennifer noticed within 4 days. Why can't I access the checking account? She asked. She was standing in the kitchen doorway. It was 7 in the morning. I was making coffee. Because I changed the password. Why would you do that? To protect what's left of our money. That's our money, David. You can't just lock me out. Actually, I can, and I did. Her voice went sharp. This is financial abuse, you know that, right? No, I said. This is financial accountability, something we should have had years ago. She stared at me. I'd never seen that expression on her face before. It wasn't anger, it was confusion, like she'd walked into a room and all the furniture was gone. Who are you right now? She said. I'm your husband, the one you stopped listening to somewhere around year 7. Jesus, David, I make one comment about your hobby and you... It wasn't one comment. It was 19 years of comments. Every single one designed to make me smaller. That's not... I was joking. Can't you take a joke? I took them all. That was the problem. She tried a different strategy. Softer voice. Step closer. Baby, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean it that way. You know I love you. We can work through this. Just give me access to the account and we'll sit down and make a budget together. No, I said. No? I'm done negotiating with someone who thinks my feelings are a joke. Her eyes went hard again. Fine, you want to play it this way? I'll call my lawyer. Good, I said. Here's mine. I handed her Tom's card. Over the following days, the text started. Dozens of them. Angry, pleading, confused. You're ruining our marriage over money? Everyone has debt, David. This is normal. I can't believe you're being this petty. We can fix this. Please just talk to me. I didn't respond. I took screenshots of every message. Her mother called. Her sister called. Both of them wanted to know what was going on. Both of them suggested I was overreacting. Jennifer's under a lot of stress, her mother said. She's been carrying this household for years. With credit cards she opened in my name, I said. Well, marriage is about partnership, David. Sometimes one person has to step up. You're right, I said. That's what I'm doing now. I hung up. The gallery showing happened on a Thursday evening. Gerald had invited serious buyers, people who appreciated craft. The sideboard sold in the first 30 minutes. 2 other pieces went before the night ended. Total, $9,200. Jennifer wasn't there. I didn't invite her. Tom called me Friday morning. She filed, he said, divorce papers. Came through last night. Okay, I said. You don't sound surprised. I'm not. She's asking for half of everything, including your future earnings from the gallery. Expected that too. David, we have documentation of the credit card fraud. We have proof she hid debt. This won't go the way she thinks. I know, I said. So why do you sound calm? I was standing in my basement workshop, early morning light through the window, the smell of fresh-cut maple. Because silence isn't surrender, Tom. Sometimes it's preparation. The mediation happened in a conference room downtown. Beige walls, long table. Jennifer sat across from me with her attorney, a woman in a gray suit who looked expensive. Tom slid a folder across the table. Documentation of 7 credit cards opened without Mr. Mitchell's knowledge or consent. Total debt, $43,000. Fraudulent use of his identity and credit. We're prepared to file criminal charges if necessary. Jennifer's attorney opened the folder. Her face didn't change, but she took longer than necessary reading the first page. My client was managing household expenses, she said carefully. Joint finances in a marriage require joint knowledge, Tom said, which didn't exist here. Jennifer leaned forward. David, come on, we're married. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. That's how it works. Not when you're the only one who knows the rules, I said. I made mistakes. I'm admitting that. But you made money from woodworking and didn't tell me about that account. Isn't that the same thing? No, I said, because I earned that money with my hands. You spent money using my name. We can both point fingers here, her attorney said, or we can be adults and negotiate a fair settlement. Fair, I said. I looked at Jennifer. You want fair? She held my eyes. For the first time in weeks, I saw something real in her face. Not anger, not strategy, genuine fear. I want our marriage, she said quietly. I know I messed up. I know I said things that hurt you. But we can fix this. Can't we fix this? For just a second, I saw the woman I'd married. 23 years old, bright smile, big plans. Somewhere along the way, we'd both stopped being the people we'd promised to be. I stayed quiet for 19 years, I said, not because I didn't care, because I thought being quiet meant being strong. I was wrong. And you got used to my silence. You built a whole world on top of it. But that world wasn't real, Jennifer. It was just me disappearing one day at a time. So that's it? Her voice cracked. One mistake and you just walk away? It wasn't one mistake. It was 43,000 mistakes. It was every time you made me feel small for doing something I loved. It was treating me like a child who needed management instead of a partner who deserved respect. She looked down at the table. You chose who mattered when you opened those cards, I said. You just didn't choose me. I stood up. Tom gathered our papers. My client is willing to split assets 50-50, Tom said, excluding his woodworking business and future earnings from it, which he built independently. He'll assume responsibility for half the credit card debt documented here, though legally he could refuse all of it. He wants a clean break, no alimony, no ongoing contact beyond necessary legal matters. Jennifer's attorney looked at her. That's a generous offer. Jennifer didn't say anything. I walked to the door. I didn't wait for her response. I didn't need to. 6 weeks later, I signed the final papers in Tom's office. Clean signature, no hesitation. I drove home in afternoon traffic. The house was mine now. Jennifer had moved in with her sister. We'd agreed to sell it in the spring. Until then, I had the space to myself. I parked in the driveway and sat in my car for a minute. The sun was setting. Orange light across the dashboard. Everything felt very still. Inside, I changed the locks. New deadbolt, new handle set. I threw the old keys in the trash. Then I went to the basement. Gerald wanted 3 more pieces by Christmas. A client in Seattle had commissioned a dining table. 8 feet long, live edge walnut. The kind of work that required planning, precision, time. I pulled out my sketchbook, drew some rough ideas. The basement smelled like wood and oil and possibility. My phone buzzed, a message from Tom. Papers filed with the court. It's done. I set the phone down. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel victorious. I felt unburdened, like I'd set down a suitcase I'd been carrying for 19 years without realizing how heavy it had gotten. Silence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's preparation. And sometimes the quietest man in the room is the one paying the closest attention. If you had been in my place, would you have spoken up sooner? Or would you have done exactly what I did and waited until you had all the facts? Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Your presence means more than you know. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe. Let's keep walking this road together.